Hello and welcome to the VR Untethered podcast, where we are untethered from any semblance of sanity for the next hour and beyond that too, because we're always this way.
Always.
I'm not Brad. That's not Josh, but I am Josh, and that is Brad, and he's not Brad, and I'm not Josh,
Or something like that, anyway.
Yes. So,
Yes.
we have some news to talk about later regarding Facebookulus or Facebookulus or whatever you want to call it, and
It's not good.
how swimmingly their Facebook requirement is going. But we'll get to that later. We also have, of course, one known upcoming title this week. I don't know if there's any other, but we know one. There's a big one coming.
But we knew one that was coming last week that didn't also, so that was
and we have some new releases that came surprisingly on a weird day.
Right. On Monday, there were 3 or 4 releases, and then Thursday's release never released. And it's been a Facebookulous week. So,
But with no further ado, let's just jump right into highlights of the week.
okay.
Brad, do you have any highlights, or are they all lowlights?
They're all lowlights, so we'll have to save them for later in the show. I'm still recovering from Until You Fall and Blast On. I'm trying to figure out why they put those two out within a week of each other. If they were just trying to destroy their player base or what. But my arms need to recover. Those are intense.
Well, imagine if they had released The Thrill of the Fight, Until You Fall, Blast On, and Swords of Gargantua all on the same week. Then they'd really be trying to kill people.
That's true. Some of those games, some of the new games, and some of the older games, obviously, are getting physically intense. Truly, truly intense. So.
Which is a good thing, because it gets you moving while you are gaming, but it's also potentially a bad thing for anybody foolhardy enough to enter your play space.
Well, including yourself, because one of the reasons I don't have any highlights this week, as I said, is my physical recovery from my highlights of last week. I think people really have to start, especially new people who are joining us with their Quest 2. Mm-hmm. You do have to limber up. This is a physical, this is a change in the way that you viewed gaming, if you haven't done it yet.
Yes. However, there are still some VR games that you can do the traditional sit on the couch with a controller way, like Solaris.
Oh, God. Okay, I would have gone with Moss or, Trover.
Those ones as well. Although Moss can benefit from getting up and looking around, but it's not necessary.
Right, and not even getting up. You could actually just sort of lean in or hunch over or something.
Right.
But, which goes back to another problem that Facebook announced this week with the Go not being compatible with the Quest 2.
I completely forgot to put that into our news section, so
I know.
Let's just talk about it right now for a little bit.
Well, it seems to flow into where we were going.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why, if Quest 1 was able to handle Go titles, that the Quest 2 is not going to be able to handle Go titles.
That is an executive decision, a Chad decision.
A really bad Chad decision. There are emulators all over the web for long dead consoles, and Go is not long dead.
I know, it's recently dead.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not even fully dead yet. No, it's at the end of this year, right?
This is going to come as a surprise when they put it in the casket and bury it while it still thinks it's breathing.
It's just like an Edgar Allan Poe story.
Very much. The cask of Amontillado comes to mind right off the bat. Yeah, no, I'm really not getting a lot of Facebook's decisions this week. I am getting some which are hurting me, but I'm not getting their decisions. This thing about and there were two things that came to me. Number one, why? Just why? You made the Go games, you have them out there, you were selling them. Why
Yeah,
aren't you making them compatible with this next generation? It's not going to detract any.
right.
And the other thing that's very, very disturbing is the fact that it seems like Carmack, who is the magician behind making the Quest and the Go so much more than they ever could have been.
Yeah, he's getting less and less influence.
Exactly. And the fact that he has less influence at Facebookulous is a really bad sign for what's to come because he's the one that keeps revolutionizing
Yes,
VR. So why they tend to ignore what he's saying, which allowed you to do side loading, which allowed you to have backwards compatibility.
right.
And backwards compatibility is something else we'll be talking about sooner, I think,
Well,
than
yeah,
into.
and I know what you mean. He's the one that is doing the stuff that the audience wants. So they really should be listening to him more. Um, and I don't get why they're not, but this is one of the reasons why he basically left them to go do machine learning and AI stuff, and he's just with them like 1 day a week as the consultant.
Right.
You know, he's like, I've had enough. I'm washing my hands of you, Facebookulous. Yeah.
And I agree with him because he has the force, and but that scares me because he's the one that eked every last bit out of out of the
Yeah.
old processor.
Well, he could have eked out more had they let him. I mean, the Quest 1 was capable of 90 hertz. Carmack said so. The only reason that they didn't run it at 90 hertz is because they didn't obtain the FCC rating for 90 hertz,
Right, which is,
and that's just a matter of reapplying.
and as we're getting into this whole thing, I guess we should go into it, you know. But basically, it seems that Facebook is really doing a bad job here because Carmack was their lead tech guy when it came to developing the Quest.
Yeah,
And now he's sort of like a Fauci, you know. They sort of put him at the end of the line as opposed to at the front of the line with experience. So that's a little unnerving. The other
yeah,
thing is that they haven't begun to unlock the secrets of the new XR chip.
right.
And to not have Carmack leading that
I know.
is really going to either hinder it or not take full advantage before they have to come out with another piece of hardware that
Right.
maximizes it. I'm seeing just what seems to be very foolish decisions, and the reviews I'm reading on the Quest 2 are not like when the Quest 1 came out. When the
Right.
Quest 1 came out, everybody was in love with it. And there was nothing.
Including that our technical reviewer, probably.
Probably. I know, you
Sorry.
know, at this point, no, I understand. Nobody knows what they're writing about. And reading these magazines at this point is really, I'm sorry to tell most people out there, a waste of your time because
Yeah.
these people don't know what they're talking about, or they're very new to VR, or they've never put on a headset and they did 5 minutes before they wrote the article.
Right. If
So
that.
that's right, if that. So, you know, so I do have a problem with the way the industry is even judging itself, but that's something else because Facebook is the one that launched this mobile, untethered reality that we're having, and that's going. I don't want it to go the way of Magic Leap. I don't want them to start promising things they're not going to deliver.
Right.
And the reason that they had such a phenomenal sales success with the Quest 2, which is
Yeah.
seen by every
So
developer,
that is something we're gonna to touch on up here. Yeah.
but just by seeing that, you realize that that's all based on people's experience with the Quest 1.
Well, I don't know about all of it, but yeah, probably a large part of it. You're right. I mean, So some of this is new people getting in as well that have not owned but have maybe tried, I suppose, to the Quest 1.
Right, but I'm not talking about people, I'm not just saying people who've had Quest 1 jumping into Quest 2, because obviously if there's 10 times more sales, it's
Right.
not just the original owners, but I'm saying that the other people inspired to go into the Quest were
Right.
inspired by people who fell
On the
in love
Quest,
with the
right.
Quest
Yeah.
and saw it just progress like monthly and become a different machine a year later than the one that they purchased.
Right.
At this point, there are people that are purchasing the machine and they can't even turn it on
Right.
because of the way that Facebook.
I think now we're getting a little bit too much into the news section.
Well, I'm talking about Facebook
Yeah.
decision making at this point, which will
Yeah, I
probably
know.
to virtually everything we discuss from here on in. But why don't you give us a highlight for the week and take us out of this particular?
Okay, well, probably my biggest highlight of the week was just last night, where after doing a 2-hour drum circle with my son, well, we were about 20 minutes late to it, so it was probably closer to an hour and a half. But after doing that, we got home, and on my Quest 2, his Quest 1, and his cousin in a different state to Quest 1, we did a little rec room together and chatting with Oculus parties and whatnot. It was a little confusing because they're both minors and not necessarily always able to figure out troubleshooting on their own if it's not working properly. And it's hard to troubleshoot for them when you can't see what they're seeing because you're in your own headset. But still, we had fun, and that's the purpose of Rec Room, is to be able to get together with other people and have fun.
Right.
So, and I did run into a problem that I heard about with the Quest 2 and Oculus parties, which is that if you're in an Oculus party in Quest 2 and you go into a game, you can't hear each other. I could hear them because they were on the Quest 1, but it said they could not hear me.
Uh-oh.
However, later on, we did shuffling around of the parties, and I rejoined the party with the app already open, and they were able to hear me in the party chat. So, sounds like you have to open the app first and then do the Oculus party. Otherwise,
That's the opposite of the way that we used to do it. We'd party up and jump into the app.
I know.
So now you
I know.
the app and then you have to go join the party?
Or something like that. That's probably something that's going to get ironed out and fixed. I'm looking at it as a minor bug, but it's a bug that shouldn't be there because it was working right before. So I'm not sure what's changed to make this crop up.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's look what happens with the Rift, and I know in Population 1 we had people on the Rift that weren't able to talk, and all of a sudden halfway through the game they'd be going, "Oh, can you hear me now?" It's like,
right.
So I'm not sure what's going on where, but at this point in time, especially after my chats with Facebook this morning and Oculus this morning, I'm going to say it's their fault. It's their fault. No, I'm just going to
most likely. It's all the fault of their Canada division. So anyways, moving on to new releases.
Off the rim shot.
We have new release of Res Infinite. One of the original rhythm shooter whatever games. I have not tried it out yet. It was very popular in the day. It's got good reviews now. It looks kind of like it's got some elements of the pistol whip and the visuals, and so it looks like a fun game.
It does look like a fun game. My biggest problem is it's brought to you from PSVR, which brought you Solaris. So,
Right.
I don't know what to expect.
There is a potential problem with this one as well that I've seen in the reviews. Is people are complaining that the volume of the game is too low. So.
Okay. Yeah, so far, something being a PSVR port is something that seems to be something you should avoid until people are saying it's working really well.
I don't know. Thumper was originally PSVR, I believe, right?
Well,
and
yeah,
I haven't heard any avoided things.
Well, Thumper
That's about it.
Thumper is its own weird game.
True.
And,
You are a space beetle.
Yeah, in a like Matchbox type track, heading towards a spiraling eye-like armish. They say H.P. Lovecraft. I've read everything Lovecraft ever wrote and never saw anything like this in anything.
Yeah, it says VR horror rhythm game. It's like, well, I can kind of see the rhythm part because you gotta tap or jump on the rhythm and whatnot, but horror?
You have to have a pretty low threshold for fear to consider this a horror game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically it's horrific elements because it's a monster or just a skeleton or creepy flying spaghetti monster creature at the end of but it's not really scary.
It's the least horrible horror. VR Carts is a more horror-filled game.
So, moving on to something that is a little bit more horror-oriented, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners has released.
At $40.
Yes.
A new price point on the Quest 2, folks. $40.
I thought the new base price was going to be $30, and that 40 was going to be the new fee.
Yeah, 40 is. I mean, people are saying it has a lot of content, which I'm sure, and at $40, I would certainly hope so.
Yes.
I would also hope it had a week's worth of groceries when it was at $40. But anyway, everybody seems to really enjoy it. Nobody has complained about it, and I guess if
unlike the other Walking Dead game.
Yeah, don't think this is Onslaught, folks. Do not go for Onslaught. We're talking Saints and Sinners here. Saints and Sinners. Big difference between the two.
Yep.
Saints and Sinners will be hard. Onslaught will be
ridiculously easy.
It'll be funny by the time you get to the end and you're able to defeat these guys with a penknife or an apple, I suppose. Something that.
Right. How about a hangnail?
Oh. They run from hangnails. That's the hard part. If you ever want to see a zombie run away from you, show them your hangnail and they just take off.
Yeah. So Saints and Sinners, which is the good one, has gotten rave reviews from the PC version, and from what I'm hearing so far, of the Quest version, it's also getting rave reviews, and it's got at least 20 different possible endings, and you can kind of basically create your own path, because one of our MVR Discord members, Michael, mentioned that he managed to get the VIP whole point of the story character killed, and the story went on.
Yeah, you would think that that's something that wouldn't really happen. At that point, you would imagine the room would fill up with zombies, at the rate of 10,000 a second, and it's over. Okay.
Well, no, it's kind of realistic, in real life, if your mission is to get this person to point A and that person dies on the way, you have to deal with the aftermath, and you'll push on and do everything else that or whatever,
Well, you could sort of turn around and just give up. I mean, there's no reason to
True,
continue
but
once the VIP is
well, that's
dead.
still dealing with the aftermath.
That's true, but I guess there's a lot more gameplay involved going forward than back at that point.
Yeah. So yeah, personally, I think that if that happened to me, I would have gone, oh, all right, restore save point. Hey, she's alive again.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. Does it have cloud sync?
I don't know. I mean, I did that um, in Skyrim. I kept trying to keep Lydia alive while I didn't know how to give her stuff so that she had the better weapons. She kept dying, and I kept having to restore to a previous save point to bring her back. And eventually, I was like, you know what? She's not an essential character. Screw it. Continue on. I just won't have a house Jarl.
There you go.
I will hire another one when I need one. I just won't tell them what happened to the first one. Good, that might scare them away.
Speaking of Skyrim, Skyrim 6 is going to be an Xbox exclusive, so it's going to go pancake. Skyrim is going to get really just like, woo, between the VR and the non-VR, it's getting to be like the Marvel Universe or Spider-Man.
Right. So,
yes.
anyways, let's move on to the next new release. These next 4 new releases were the ones that released on Monday, and I don't know if Monday is Japan's version of Tuesday or Japan's version of Thursday, but these are all the ones that were imported from Japan. Little Witch Academia Broom Racing, Space Channel 5 VR Kind of Funky News Flash. You can tell it's a Japanese title by the long title. Hatsune Miku VR and Homestar VR Special Edition. I kind of thought Homestar was already out, but maybe there was a different version and they re-released it. I don't know.
I don't know. It was out at one point, and
I know.
I don't know if they just upgraded it for the Quest 2. I don't know what they added to it.
I don't know. But it says the release date of the 11th or the 12th or whatever. So it, I don't know. It's looking like a new release. It's not looking like an update. So,
okay.
Maybe they had an American edition and they had a Japanese edition, and now we have the Japanese edition here. I don't know. Anyways, Little Witch Academia is based on an anime called Little Witch Academia. And in this, there's a little bit of a story and interaction with the other characters through canned dialogue. And then you race with your broom. And you have to fly through hoops and the target rings, and it's fairly standard fly through the target ring style the racing thing. As far as I can tell, it's just the thing around this anime. So I seem to remember playing way back when on the Gear VR when you could access like truly early access stuff, and and there was I think it might have been called Little Witch Pie or something, I don't know, but yeah, the Little Witch Pie delivery service or something like that, which is similar to this, and I have to wonder if it was a precursor to this. I really don't know. I don't follow the Little Witch Academia anime at all, so I really don't know. But you are flying around on a broom, going through target rings. You're a witch.
It sounds a lot like Quidditch.
Yeah.
Without Harry.
So my biggest problem with it back on the VR, I mean, obviously it was head tracked or with the remote 3 DOF only. It seemed like I would do this much of a tilt with my head or the controller, and then the actual broom would tilt just like that. So I'd be like, pull up, and they would go, okay, up just a little bit. Like, I can't make that ring. I just flew under because you didn't pull up. So.
Hopefully they fix that in
Yeah.
the fixed off version.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't look like something that should be released to what was it, $25 or $30 on release also, wasn't it?
$24.99, I think.
Yeah. Seemed a little pricey for
Yeah. Well, they want to get them 1,000,000 Japanese yen for each purchase of the game.
Okay. So these are aimed, these, when you get to the next one, Hatsune,
Space Channel 5 VR kind of funky news
I
flash. That's
hope
the next
you're
one.
going to pass over that one completely. If you wish to dwell on that one for more than 20 seconds, I'll stop. But
So
go
that
ahead.
one's already been discussed before. It's a kind of funky game. It's kind of a rhythm game, but it's weird, and one that didn't really appeal to me when I watched it before. And it's got kind of a story as well. You're fighting off alien invaders by dancing and whatnot.
Yeah, it's sort of footloose on a sci-fi level,
Right. If you want to know more about that, I believe all the big YouTubers have already done videos on it.
They roll out Monday.
Version.
Yeah.
So
they're all there for you to see if you can tolerate them. But
Hatsune Miku now. Everyone's favorite Vocaloid. That's it's a program in Japan that's really, really big in Japan, and you have various anime characters that you can have sing and dance to various songs. You can put the different outfits on them, you can put the different backgrounds for them to be in, and basically create your own music video with the characters. One of the most popular characters is the Hatsune Miku. And this is a game featuring her. She is in front of you on a pedestal, and she is dancing while the notes come at you, and you hit the notes. Yeah, that's about it.
Right. This is the game, folks. Nothing at all like Beat Saber or anything that's come before it. It's completely new and different.
Right. So.
Yeah.
And Homestar VR Special Edition. It's another astronomy app where you can view the night sky and have it come down to the horizon, and I think you can do real-time things in there as well. And we have 2 or 3 or 4 different options to choose from now for astronomy apps, and so this one seems like a decent one. The description said that it's got a special location or whatever, or something like that. I haven't actually checked it out yet, but if you're into astronomy and sky watching and you don't want to go outside in the dead of minus 17-degree winter to try to view the sky, this might work for you.
It might. I have to say, so far, all of the astronomy apps that I've used were really kind of cool for the first 5 minutes that you use them, sort of like a telescope.
Right.
Unless you have a really, really good one with the equatorial mount and you know what you're doing and there's no light pollution, it's going to be a less...
I live in an area with way too much light pollution. I can't see the Milky Way at all, except as a very faint that a shadow or is that the Milky Way band? I can't quite tell.
Yeah, in Fort Lauderdale, I can't even see the launch from Cape Canaveral anymore. So, yeah, there's too much light pollution,
Yeah.
obviously, and but they're okay. You could give them a try. I just don't see anything really phenomenal happening with any of them yet. You know,
Right.
for that one space app or astronomy app that'll let you really, do
Right.
something special.
Now, what my son would like, and maybe this is something that would be possible with the Quest 2, is a space simulator where you can set up your own solar systems. You can make planets crash into each other, and whatever.
And they should be able to do it. I
Yeah,
remember having
yeah. I mean,
simulated.
they have one. I forget what it's called off the top of my head on PC that has a VR interface as well. So,
Yeah.
and it periodically comes up in recent videos and whatnot as well. So it's still being used, and my son would love to be able to do that.
Well, that was one of my favorite. I had a game where you were Columbus, and it was, basically taking over and rediscovering the new world. And
Right.
one of the things in the game it had was a tectonic plate smasher. So
Mm.
if you got tired of conquering the real world, you could let the tectonic plates smash and start off from a new place and land in a new place, and that was kind of cool. So I
Yeah.
enjoyed that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, these Universe Sandbox is what it is.
And that's kind of cool. I think that something like that is cool for a kid to play with too, and
Yeah.
for adult. But the ones
Yeah.
that they have now really are kind of repetitive.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, moving on to upcoming releases. We've talked about this before. You've seen videos on it before. If you haven't, you are living in the name of the game, which is Population 1.
That was nice. I like that. Yeah, we said you would have to be under a rock inside of a chocolate in another universe, all that week. But Population One is coming. The devs are hard at work polishing it so that it's not going to have the 16 updates after release, the first
Right.
that it should have been on the day it released.
Right. And they made an announcement recently that it will support cross-buy on the Oculus platforms. So if you buy it on Oculus Rift, which I don't know if it should be called that, Oculus PC.
Right.
If you buy it for Oculus PC, you will also have it on the Oculus Quest, and vice versa. So,
Right. I don't know. Once again, I'm living in this. I'm sorry, folks. You're going to have to excuse me, but this morning I've been dealing with Facebook, Oculus. Now, yes, it's Facebox now. They're just one giant mass of confusion, hiding behind a couple of different names, and I'm still in shell shock this morning. So please excuse me.
we can get into that more a little bit later if you really want, because we do talk about stuff kind of sort of related to that. So,
Just a little stunned. Everything's
yeah.
back to that right now, but please continue.
Yeah, so, anyways, as I think I mentioned before, my only potential hesitation about Population 1 is the price of it. It is a little pricey, but at the same time, I would say that it's probably worth that price.
I would have to say so.
You'll get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So,
Right.
unless you just don't like this kind of game, in which case, don't buy this game.
Oh, if you like Battle Royale games, this is the one to own on the Quest, and
It's
probably
the only one going on the Quest.
well. Right, otherwise you're going to have to play Rec Room or some other, side
Oh
quest.
yeah, I mean, Rec Room on the Quest 2, I believe you'll be able to do Rec Royale. I think you can do that on the Quest 2 now, but that doesn't quite hold a candle. I've heard.
No, I was going to say Population One is so nicely polished, and the play is really so much fun. So
Hmm.
if you're into shooters, it's definitely
Yeah.
if you just got once again if you just got your Quest 2 and you're trying to figure out what to get, that's a definite
Yep.
one.
Yep. You cannot go wrong with this game. Yeah.
Right.
It's a very fun game. It's very fast paced compared to most PC battle royale games I've watched. They seem to go on a lot longer. So this is designed to be a much faster paced game.
Right, and you get to be revived by your squad
Right.
mates. There's really good systems in place for
Yeah.
inventory
Yeah.
control.
I think I was playing a game of it a couple nights ago where it was like, oh hey, there are two enemies left. All right, we got, and then a few seconds later, oh crap, there are six enemies remaining. It was two squads, and they both revived everybody on their squad.
Right, exactly. The worst is when you could hear them reviving them. It's like, oh no,
Yeah,
run!
yeah,
It's a great game.
yeah,
You'll love it. So I think that
yeah.
that one I could give an unqualified thumbs up to. That's and once again when we're talking about
I could
Fort,
give a double jointed a thumbs up.
that oh cool. There you go. That's a must
I
buy.
can give a double jointed thumbs up.
Okay, that's too much. Um, but yeah, I plunk my money down on that for
Yeah.
sure.
All right, now into the GNUs, some of which is good GNUs, some of which is not so good GNUs, or not so good GNUs.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Gnoki. uh,
Thanks.
so, let's start off with some good GNUs. Quest 2 launch boost sales at least 10 times for mini devs. I think Moth has mentioned that, Waltz of the Wizard, pretty much any title across the board, if they are reporting the numbers, are reporting that on Tuesday
Oh
on the
yeah.
sales.
And the same with SideQuest. If you look
Yeah,
at the number of people that joined SideQuest, it like tripled in one day.
yeah,
So
yeah,
obviously, like we had said at the earlier part, I think out loud, that the Quest 1 owners were the ones that, and their reaction to the Quest was what
right,
drove the sales of the Quest 2.
right. Yeah, because who being completely new to VR would know, hey, let's go side quest day one, you know?
Exactly, exactly. And there are obviously people that have been trying to buy a Quest for a year and couldn't even get one until the Quest 2
Right,
came out. So,
right, right,
um, so yeah, and I think a lot of people that own the Quest 1 and went through all the hassles of waiting months to try and get one, and anybody that's been in that situation just jumped on this. Aside from which every magazine gave it like a double thumbs up and
right.
in comparison to everything else, how wonderful it was. And I'm sure it will. Mine is waiting at my friend's house where I had it delivered when I'd be getting home. However, I just wonder if I will be one of those people who's able to actually access it.
Which leads us into our next bit of news. The Facebook login requirement is causing some locked devices and locked out people.
A lot of
Yeah,
locked-out devices and people. It's the first, if you go to the support page, the first question that it wants you to answer is, are you having trouble getting into your Oculus Quest 2?
yeah.
And then follow these instructions, which make no sense. So,
Yeah. I didn't have any problems with mine, but I don't know if that's because I technically already had it integrated with, I already had it linked with my Oculus account, and so it's just a simple matter of officially merging it when it was already, for all practical purposes, already merged.
which
You
I
know,
did on the app. I did the
right.
merge, but then when I logged into Oculus today to try and order something, not digital,
On the website, right?
right?
Right.
And it told me that the account was disabled. It's
Yeah.
still so, and nobody's able to give me an answer that makes any sense.
They just don't want you buying a VR cover. That's all.
crazy. It really is just the craziest thing. And um, this gets into the way that Facebook is handling this, which is really not good.
Yeah.
The beauty of the Quest and the Go was that they were literally download this app and get started. There was no
Yeah.
friction. There was no friction. If they're now going to set up a case where you can't call Facebook, all you can do is chat with them, and from the chat they issue a support ticket, which then you have to wait for somebody else to reply to before you can let
Right.
them know that they didn't understand your first request
Right.
and their canned reply. So
Right.
this could end up being a real backfire for them.
Yeah. A real bad publicity for them.
It
Bad
is,
news.
yeah, it is already. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
reading about all these people that have already started their returns on their Quest 2.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, yeah, that's not good. They're not quite handling this right. I don't know if it. I, I don't know the exact situation of all of the people involved, but I know you had a Facebook account that was in good standing. You haven't done anything suspicious with it. It's not one that's been dormant for 5 years or whatever, and you were just officially merging it per the directions and then moving on, and now you've got issues. And I'm sure that some of them are, hey, I don't want a Facebook account, but I've got to make one, so I'm making one, calling it Bob Schmugaba, and and then they go to use it, and Facebook goes, oh, that looks like a fake account, ban.
well,
So some of it may be that, I don't know.
and the crazy part is, it's like when you first sign up for Facebook, it says use the name that people know you by.
Right,
Now, if the name they know you by is not your legal name, who is Facebook to determine how your
right,
friends should know you?
right,
And if you give Facebook your legal credentials, i.e., your name, your credit card, your
hmm,
address, then what exactly are you not doing right? And at what point does somebody that you're dealing with understand Facebook's policies to be able to tell you how to correct it? So
right.
to
Yeah,
me,
so this is a big mess that they've got going on here. Hopefully they get it sorted out, because right now there really isn't a good viable option to the Quest or the Quest 2, in my opinion. There's no real comparable headset on the market right now.
right, but this opens up the window to one tremendously.
Yes,
If
yes,
somebody had one that was even near completion, they
yeah.
could
I mean,
get
Sony, if you're listening, work on a
right.
standalone. You get it going. You've already got a marketplace. You've already got an audience. You'll be able to get it out. Say, hey, we're on Facebook, and people would probably flock to you. Um, something else. There are. I forget now. There was another company that I thought would be able to do a good job, but I forget the name now. But there
LG,
are a couple out there that can probably make a good headset and have it be a Quest competitor, have it priced similarly, maybe $100 more, because they don't have all Facebook's deep pockets to put into it. But I mean, like the Zapico Goblin or the Zapico Neo Lite or whatever that was supposed to be a Quest competitor. It could. It's a little bit weaker. It's from China, so it's got the same sort of privacy issues. Yeah, but
right. But yeah,
if there were
it's
one that were from here in the U.S., if there were one that were from the European Union, if there was one that was from South Korea, Samsung, if you have experience in VR, you know, any of those areas, could potentially make it for a little bit less. than a smaller unknown company, so, and have it be priced comparably.
Well, that's just it. I think that they're just going in such a bizarre direction to make you give up your privacy and then to make you go through hoops, not only to do one, but to do both.
Right.
And then be locked into their ecosystem, which they're busy shutting down.
Right.
You're going, okay, wait a second. What am I buying into here? At first I was buying into something that was easier, better, and on the way up.
Right.
And now it's more complicated. The accessories, in order to make it what it was supposed to be, well, on release, bring it right back up to its $500 mark.
No, what I just realized?
What's that?
This is actually Highlander. There can only be one, and the Facebookening. After you cut off the heads of all the other headsets.
Right, exactly. And that could be what they're doing, is they're pulling a Bezos, let's get rid of all the others that can't compete at the price point, and then we can raise all our prices. I don't know. I really don't. All I know is I was willing to go with the entire Facebook privacy deprivation issue.
Yeah, I already use the Facebook. It's not going to be any worse really than what's already going on,
Right. So, that was okay. I'll do it, even though, it's never a great idea. But
yeah.
I went along with all of it, and then to not be able to purchase something through them.
Right.
It's like, no, you're just doing something very, very wrong. If this is something that affects you internally, fix it internally, but get the people on the outside working.
Right. On the other hand, if you want to trust Facebookulus at all, supposedly the Oculus Quest will still work with Steamvr via Link, even after they have changed it to the native interface integration. They are updating Link so that instead of having to use the Oculus Rift-like interface with the Oculus Dash and all that, you'll just have the native Oculus Quest interface, and it'll show up as apps in your library. Well, the people have been concerned, how will that affect my ability to play SteamVR? And we have been assured by Facebookulus that you will still be able to play SteamVR games after that happens.
I don't believe that.
No word on how that'll work, but you will still be able to.
Right.
Trust
once again, trust us. You don't have Carmack anymore. You've destroyed my working accounts, and I'll trust you. There's no issue here. The other thing I think I would have to say is, after reading all the reviews and hearing all the reviews on the Quest 2, it is a Quest 1.5 or a Quest 1.6.
Yeah, it's not a complete 2, but I would call it more of a Quest 1.6, 1.7. That's a little bit better than 1.5, but it's not all the way to a Quest 2.
Right.
But it is more than I was expecting.
See, that's just it. It's the XR chip that none of us were expecting. And by not letting Carmack have at it, I don't know that.
I mean, if Carmack were still there 5 days a week with the unfettered free reign and all that, I almost want to say that the Quest 2 would be able to run Asgard's Wrath.
Right. Me too. And that's what I was fully expecting.
Port over, no optimization. No, I almost think he would be able to pull that off. Probably not exactly that, but would still need optimization, but
but really close.
Not nearly as much.
Right. And I agree with you, but without Carmack, I don't know that they could pull that off.
Right.
And that will be and then I don't want to see next year the Quest 3.
I know.
Because the hardware has to match the processor that they put, it's like the first time around they put a cheap processor with great parts, and now they put in
Right.
a great processor with cheap parts, and it's just
Right.
like, come on, guys.
Well, next time it'll be another cheap processor with great power. No. But yeah, speaking though of competitors and whatnot, um, I found out this morning, and I think I saw a hint of it last night, but I didn't know what it was being talked about until I looked into it. So this morning, Palmer Luckey has tweeted on Twitter, because that is where you tweet, unless you're a bird, in which case you tweet in the trees and on the street. But Palmer Luckey has said that he is matching a $5,000 incentive from Hub's employee Robert Long to jailbreak the Quest 2.
We should take that.
Or the Quest in general.
Right.
And other people in the comment thread of that have said, well, I can't do the 5,000, but I will add 1,000. I'll add 500.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And I honestly believe that it's not going to be that difficult to jailbreak it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's still Android based.
yeah, it's Android. And if people can jailbreak the iPhone, which is much more closed and to customize an OS, and then win the legal battle saying that they are right to be able to.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I don't see this one being. I think the only problem is that they donated too little. I think if they made it 100,000, whatever, that it would be
It'd be done tomorrow.
It would have been done yesterday. Yeah. So I think that's the only thing really.
I mean, that said, I mean, I used to be into Android rooting, which is entirely possible on most devices and whatnot. It can be tricky, can be dangerous. You can result in a bricked device that is good for nothing but a paperweight or a movie prop, you know. But if you go with trusted, reliable method, you're more or less safe. But you then end up with a custom version of Android on your phone that does things that the vanilla Android so doesn't do, or that does everything exactly the same, but just doesn't have the tracking or the privacy stuff that you might be worried about.
Right.
So
yeah.
That if they can pull it off for the Quest and the Quest 2, and have you be able to disable the Facebook privacy stuff or whatever, but still be able to access the library, who knows? That might be what needs to happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that also opens up potential legal things, because whoever does that is going to be sued by Facebook.
Right.
And there is precedent for them to be able to win against Facebook, but it would still be a legal battle.
Oh, yeah. Major. At this point, I would rather that. Here's my problem. I would rather that Facebook get their crap together
and do the right thing themselves.
Yes. I just don't know that they will.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope they do, but I am with you. I don't know that they will.
Okay. So we're both.
Yeah. So moving on to not necessarily Facebook related news.
Okay.
Microvision introduces the world's smallest and lightest display module for smart glasses.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's already the leading manufacturer of projectors for augmented reality glasses, such as the HoloLens 2. And according to the article that I sourced for this on That website called seekingalpha.com. Um, Virtually out of nowhere, a few days before the publication of the article, Microvision presented a display module for smart glasses, which was the smallest and lightest one. It's even smaller and lighter than the one before, which would make sense because it's the world's smallest and lightest one. And this potentially opens up a multi-million-dollar market for them, and it allows for even more normal and natural-looking smart glasses, and I didn't really say in the article, but it might also be more efficient on the battery. I don't know, but if it's miniaturized, I mean, the battery is probably miniaturized as well. So, yeah,
I know. I was going to say it's like my earbuds that are self-charging, the wireless earbuds. The battery life on them seems to be about a year and some months. It's like, yes, they might stay perpetually charged in 16 hours and all this other stuff, but after a year and a half, might be time for a new pair of earbuds.
Well, that's not what I mean by the battery life. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
I mean time between charges.
Right. But the smaller the battery, usually the less
Right.
time we'll have, both in
The less of a lifetime it's got. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, anyways, that is interesting news for people following the AR game because they might end up used in the next AR project that someone puts out there.
There's just so many different AR projects right now. It's so hard.
True. And moving on to another bit of news, Nvidics shows impressive augmented reality automobile HUD. There are various car companies that are building in augmented reality HUDs on the windshield of their cars, which is the best place for it, in my opinion, because that keeps your eyes sort of looking forward at the road, at the other cars, at the traffic around you, rather than having to look down at the dash. Anything that keeps your eyes forward while you are driving is good. So, the article here from Insight Media said that he was invited to their Detroit office to discuss the technology, and what he saw was the best auto HUD he has seen to date. And almost all normal HUDs are image-based. It creates an image on a direct view or micro display and then projects it to the window to reflect back. This one evidently uses a custom-developed spatial light modulator, which is a modified microdisplay that manipulates the phase of light. And a hologram of the image you want to display is computed and then is driven to the modulator and illuminated by a laser or an LED. So a different process of getting the display on the windshield. This has the advantage of allowing all the light to be utilized in displaying content instead of blocking a lot, as with the projector style. But it evidently has a heavier computational load than the normal way of doing it. So this kind of goes into more technical aspects, but they are still making advances in automotive HUDs, which are useful in navigating because it can place an arrow exactly where you need to turn. A lot of the newer cars are already doing lane assist and you're getting too close to the car in front of you and all that kind of stuff. And problem is that's down here at the steering wheel level on the dash. It'd be better if it were up here on the windshield where you're already looking.
Right.
So
the only thing I can say about that, though, is that since they've had the technology to do that for the last 25 years,
mm-hmm.
and they've never really introduced it.
Right.
And now this is take even more computational power.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've mentioned to you before that way back when I had worked at a used car lot. No, I was not a salesman. I was the key custodian. I put the keys in the lock boxes of all of the cars in the morning, and I took them off and back on the key rings in the office at night. I also got to move some the cars that are the blocker cars, so the ones parked right at the gate, so that people can't just crash through the gates and steal things. I got to move those back into their spots in the morning, and a couple times I got to drive a supercharged Pontiac Bonneville SE, which had a rudimentary HUD on it. It had the speed and the compass on the windshield. I was like, wow, that's cool. And very useful. I want that, but I can't afford this car. But I want that.
It was in my 1998 Grand Prix. They were using that HUD, and I don't see anything that they're going to do today other than make it a little sharper.
Today it's also tied into more than just what you would normally see on the dash. There's also everything else that's being added in now, all the computer, all the navigation, and all that kind of stuff as well. So, right. But yes, as far as the actual imaging on the window goes, it might be a little bit sharper and whatnot, but it's still going to kind of look like a transparent image on the windshield. So
exactly. So. Yeah, it's great. I think everybody should have had one 25 years ago. So there's no reason. I don't think everybody
it should have been standard, in my opinion.
Exactly. There was no reason to have anything analog on a car after 20 years ago.
Yes. So, our last bit of news before we. Oh, that's too late. We already went over on our time officially, but anyway, the last little bit of news. Daughters of Shibak is a VR documentary about the Boko Haram attack. If you remember that from 2014 or whatever, there was a village called Shibak, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, but where there were 120 young girls kidnapped in the middle of the night by the terrorist group Boko Haram, and most likely sold into trafficking. And this is I was reading an article that was interviewing the person behind this VR documentary about it. I forget where it is. You can access it. I think it's on PC marketplaces or something. I will double check after the show, and I'll add it in the description of the comments. But it's a documentary in VR, interviewing the parents who are still washing their daughter's clothes every week, hoping they will be found and rescued and whatnot. And the creator of it said that this isn't so much intended to raise awareness as it is to provoke action, because he heard that the people there were saying Well, at first it looked like everybody cared and we were going to get all the help, and now it seems like nobody knows about us anymore. Because
Right.
that's how our world is sometimes. You know, it was a week later, everybody forgets and they move on to the next thing.
Honestly, I don't think in the state of the world right now that this is going to move a lot of people, especially if it's in VR content as opposed to being. This is the type of thing that should be on a regular TV broadcast that the entire
Well,
world has access to.
right. Well, it should be in um, in both formats, I think.
Right.
There is nothing wrong with it being in the VR format because that's obviously more immersive and more impactful.
Right.
But yeah, it'll reach more uh, people if it's um, on a regular flat screen format, even if that were just YouTube. You know,
Exactly. It's the emotional impact of what they're talking about. Yes, it's more immersive if you're watching it in VR, but I think that this is the type of thing, if you're going to mobilize a globe 6 years after an event, VR
right?
is not the way it's going to happen. You know,
Yeah. Oh, actually, uh, the article was recent. The documentary was last year, September of last year. So, but this was the first that I heard about it.
well, pandemia has sort of, changed the way we get our information these
Yeah,
days.
yeah. So, it was. I do some of my show prep for this by going to Twitter, searching for hashtag VR, hashtag virtual reality, etc., and then scrolling through all the latest posts. And this was one of the more recent posts. So,
Right. And a lot of the recent posts are based on older news because
right,
there's so much news that can be happening right now.
yeah, yeah. So this is something that I think might have been overlooked for last year too, because I don't remember hearing about it.
No, because I know we heard about coming home or welcome home or homecoming,
Right,
whatever they
right,
call it. And,
right.
for some reason they feel that people that have VR headsets are prone to being able to watch somebody else's misery and really get into it. Um,
Well, no, they want you to not get into it and be moved to act to help prevent or or to
don't,
fix, etc.
right.
So,
Luckily,
anyways, um, this is from last year, but it's just um, it's still good to be reminded every now and then that VR is used not only for games, not only for filling Facebook's pocketbook, uh, but it's also used for just spreading messages that are important like this in a way that you really can't with other media. I
right.
mean, you could watch it on Facebook, but I mean on YouTube or whatever, and maybe on Facebook as well. I don't know, uh, but it being a flat screen is not going to move you as much as being in, so to speak, the video would.
Of course,
So,
we always agree on that. VR
well,
is more immersive than anything that
yeah,
comes on a platform.
yeah. Oh, I almost forgot. Another highlight of the week that I had at the beginning of the show, I forgot to mention.
Well, please do it now.
I have the Quest 2, and I've been using it.
That's you mean the Quest 1.723B.
Well, it's called the Quest 2. Yeah,
Right.
but yeah, I'll share more thoughts on it later. But it is an improvement in many ways. It takes me a little bit to get used to the new set of controllers because they're so bigger in some ways, you
Right.
know. But so far I am liking it. Performing a lot better than the Quest 1 did. So
That's really a terrible thing for all the people with Quest 1s.
well, you would expect it to perform better because it's like moving from a 980 graphics card to a 1080 or something.
Right.
So of course it's going to perform better. It doesn't mean that you can't use the other one or can't do VR with the other one. It just means this is capable of a little bit more.
Well, I just wonder how quickly that will move the Quest 2 and Quest 1 forking.
I know.
I think they're going to have to adapt to that pretty quickly. Like, you can upgrade to this level on the Quest 1 and this level on the Quest 2. And
yeah, because I mean, there are already apps that are doing Quest 2 only content. Rec Room. No, they already had PC only and Quest only, or not Quest only, but it's the PC only that the Quest couldn't access, and they've been working on getting as much of that cross-platform as possible. But now they've got the Quest 2, so they have some that's PC only, and they have some now that's PC and Quest 2 only.
Right. Oh yeah, it's going to be an interesting dad step. We'll keep you informed, folks, as it goes along. We'll try and follow the music and tell you the next steps.
Yep. So, anyways, on that kind of mixed note, that brings us to the end of today's episode. So remember to like, subscribe, and drag all your friends over by the hair until they like and subscribe also, because we need all the subscribers that you can give us.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Have fun. Have a great rest of your day, weekend, whatever. Bye.